Okay, Tabitha, this video is dedicated to you. And this is part of the reason why I didn't want to do this to begin with, is because this place is, I don't know, it's more like a workplace than it is an actual garden. So anyway, let's show what I have going on. This is my bug spray for when I'm eaten alive in the mornings. These are a bunch of edible trees, actually. These are perennials. This is called Kiko's Crump. This is, I can't even remember the names of them. I just ordered them. So what I'm doing is I'm potting them and I'm letting them kind of grow bigger. This is a tree from Brazil. It's a fruit tree. I'm probably gonna pot it. It's a tropical, so some of the tropicals I have to be careful of. They freeze. So these are all plants that I'm either trying to propagate or ones that I have propagated. These are 2 star cherries that I propagated from seed, a tropical cherry. This is something I'm attempting to propagate, and I actually see some buds coming on it. I think it's a hog plum, which is another tropical. These are loquats, which I propagated from seed. This is a, oh goodness, I have them everywhere, passion fruit. So I have a lot of tropical fruit trees. Here I have a fig. These are sapotes that a brown sugar sapote, which is kind of like a soft apple. Very, very sweet, very delicious. I propagated a ton of them from seed. Oh my goodness, they propagate really easy. This is a sugar apple, same thing, a soft pear-like fruit. All these are tropicals. This is a lemon tree. This is another hog plum. I took a cutting from Mom. So all these, there's a bunch of lemon trees here. Basically, this area is where I do my propagating. I propagate from seed. I propagate from cutting. All of these are something called tree kale. And they don't like the summer heat, frankly. They're not doing well. I'm just waiting for the fall to come, and hopefully they'll live and I can put them in the ground. But these tree collards are just edible trees. So I'm really excited to have a perennial, all these perennial greens, which will go into my green smoothies. And we visited a vineyard and I came away with cuttings. So these are grape cuttings. There's only one grape that does well in our area. It's called a muscadine grape, and actually it's pretty good even though it has seeds. It tastes a lot like a Concord grape. So I think 2 of the cuttings are going to make it and the other 2 will probably fail. And this is another way of propagating. You kind of make little greenhouses and it actually increases the success of propagating. And in here I have a ton of different fruit trees and some pollinating trees. Different tropicals of cuttings. Some of the cuttings I actually special ordered from California, so I'm really hoping they make it. Just some rare tropical fruit things. Down here, I'm actually trying to grow some coconuts that I got at the store, and they haven't come up yet. This is the bucket where I throw all my avocado seeds, and any seed, like if we eat dates, we throw the seeds in here. And whatever comes up, we put in a pot and go from there. I actually have had 2 mangoes come up from here. And so I propagated my own mangoes. I have 2 of them. And then here is like more like herbs. You can see some basil coming up and some okra. And I just threw in some flower seeds. And I just kind of keep it moist. And if something good comes up, I'll put it in a cup and put it in the ground when it's big enough. I just find that that's kind of the laziest, easiest way. Okay, so this looks like a jungle, this bed. In fact, see, this is why I don't really show people. This is clearly a mess. These are tropical trees, mostly mangoes, loquats, olive, and soursop. Different trees that will eventually go in the ground. There's a strawberry fruit tree in the back right, which is a Jamaican cherry. And there's an avocado back there. Those are the ones in pots. But the reason why everything looks so huge here is because this plant is the yucca plant, the cassava plant. And when COVID-19 hit, I planted a ton of this everywhere because this is a survival crop. This crop will feed you and keep you fat and happy. It's a starch. And so, so yeah, it's basically dominating this area and kind of taking over. But before I planted it, it was not this jungly. This stuff shoots up super quick. You can see it under the thing there, the awning, or I don't know, the overhang. So this is just amazing. It's very fertile. So the soil here is very fertile. And it's just happy, super happy. So I'm actually looking forward to harvesting it just so I can have my sunlight back in this area, because it's that huge thing up there is called a bird of paradise. You can see the flower on it. It has like a beak and a crown, and that one was in the front yard. We moved it back here. We like it because it gives kind of like a tropical feel. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff hidden under the cassava in this bed. I have a Confederate rose, which frankly isn't blooming very well because I think it misses its sunlight. But as long as I deadhead it, it just literally blooms all year round. Just blooms, blooms, blooms. I need to get in there and deadhead it. But right now the cassava is kind of in the way. So this tree here is a crepe myrtle. And it does have flowers in the springtime. This extra bed is actually new. I just recently did this bed. And I put logs as like a border, but you can't see because everything in it is going mental. But over to the right here, this was the bed that was kind of here before. It's actually L-shaped. You probably can't tell. And by the way, that cardboard is not just junk. I use that to plant trees. I'm constantly in the mode of planting trees as fast as I can right now because I have so many that need to go in the ground. And even though I'm trying to plant them fast, it's still not happening fast enough. But that pile of cardboard gets used every time I plant a tree. So yeah, this bed is actually, I stuck in sweet potato cuttings and beans. These are black-eyed peas, which grow super duper well in the southern United States. They love the heat, they love the summer. So does sweet potato. I mean, look at this. This is a happy sweet potato right here, just lush leaves. I'm actually going to cut a lot of these beans and just let them die because they're over competing. I mean, I just threw beans in here. This plant here is the miracle plant moringa. This is what I use in my smoothies all the time. This plant is like gold, nutritional gold. Look it up, moringa. Everyone should have one. Even Bethany should have one in her greenhouse. It won't survive the frost. Take it indoor. It's just an amazing plant. Love it, love it, love it. And let's see, what else can I tell you? So yeah, I'm going to have to thin these out. But I wanted to put them here for nitrogen fixing purposes. I really wanted to beef up the soil. But there are actually things underneath here that need the sunlight at this point. I have a bunch of okra underneath here. I would like the sweet potato to dominate because sweet potato leaves are actually edible and you can just throw them in your smoothies. So I want to cut the beans because, frankly, I hate black-eyed peas. I don't like them at all. They're like my least favorite bean. I can tolerate them if they're smothered in bacon fat, but yeah, I am not a fan of black-eyed peas. And so anyway, they're so easy to grow. I just wanted a quick, easy ground cover, but they actually are really aggressive. So I'm just gonna. I mean, I'm happy with them. They're beautiful. They're just doing exactly what I wanted to do, keep the weeds down. Now look at this sad tree. I planted this avocado, and don't get me wrong, he was sad when I planted him, but I am not seeing the new growth. You know, I always look, is there new growth? I always inspect my plants, you know, are you happy? And he's just not happy. Avocados do not like wet feet. We've had a lot of rain. And so they do this sort of thing when they get too wet. So I think he's just a little bit too much moisture. So what I might do is put him on a higher mound with more sand. It's funny how some, you know, and he is in sand, but I guess he just wants, he's like, nope, too much compost in here. I need more sand. So I'm probably going to have to fix that. Maybe when I clear out some of these beans, I'll get in there. And, okay, so this is called a banana pit. Bananas love water, water, water. They need tons and tons and tons of water. So we have a well, and I actually pretty much keep this running 24/7. And the bananas love it. It's like free water, you know, I don't know. Yeah, it's an aquifer deep underground. And, you know, I do turn it off if we have thunderstorms. But in general, I mean, look at these bananas. Brian put some serious work into this pit. He dug a big hole along with Uncle Josh. Uncle Josh was a huge help. And we just had a dump truck load of compost, and then we mulched it. It was super, super heavy. And the bananas, oh, he buried like logs under there. Just all this rotting material. And in the very center of the pit, we have a little bridge for the kiddos to get across, which leads to the patio. But my goodness, everything's getting overgrown. There's so many cool plants in there I could tell you about. Along the ground, you'll see more sweet potato growing. Once again, during COVID, I just planted, you know, what I could, but all these things that are growing have a purpose. This is called hemp, sun hemp, and it's a nitrogen fixer. It's actually a weed, but it fixes nitrogen, which is really important here in the tropics. The soil quality is poor, so planting nitrogen fixing things next to other trees is just kind of a common practice. And then you chop them down when they get too big, and you feed them to the other plants. So this is the middle of the pit, and that's where we put all the rotten stuff. All the logs and everything just rots. And it's kind of like Seymour. You just feed it, and it feeds the whole system. It feeds the bacteria. So it's kind of like compost in the middle and bananas around the edges. Just loving life. I mean, those are... And there's not just bananas in there. There's several types of bananas. Bananas that get super tall. This is actually a young pit. It's not fully developed. They're going to get a lot bigger than that, some of them. Some of them will stay short. And some of them are plantains, which is an excellent, excellent starch. All right, over here, I really try to focus on edible landscape. Over here is a mulberry tree. You can eat mulberry leaves if you cook them. Just saying. The raccoons usually get the mulberries before I do. But here's, you know, here's one ripening. They have to be completely black before you can eat them. What I would like to do is to cut out this hedge to the left to give this guy a little bit more room to be a tree. He's definitely, I don't know, shaded on one side. So anyway, that's my mulberry. This hedge is called chaya, Mexican tree spinach, and the pollinators love it. It's loaded with butterflies. All the flowers are up top. You probably can't see, but it's just buzzing with all sorts of insects and bees, and it's a joy to come out here and watch the butterflies, actually, and they're everywhere. I mean, just right now I see like 5 of them. And the flowers are pleasant, and this is one of the best tasting spinaches. I absolutely adore this. It is so good to eat, and it's obviously really good for you. But it is so easy to grow. You stick it in the ground here, and you can stick it in concrete, and it will grow like huge. So what we're going to do this winter is we're going to hack it back. Brian actually hacked there a little bit because we had to get a dump truck through this gate over here. And we didn't want him to start ripping into the trees, so we had to hack it back. The dump truck delivered a bunch of free mulch. Way back there you can see, now that's a tree house that Brian is in the process of constructing for the kids. They love their tire swing. We obviously have the hammock. But anyway, I'll just show you here is the compost. So every day the kids bring the compost out. This is just scrap wood. We have piles of junk around here, so our plan is to get a dumpster and just get rid of all the extra random rotting wood. This cactus has edible pieces and it fruits edible fruits. This is a pear tree, and frankly it's never really done much, but I've never taken care of it, so that's my fault. That's our well, which is awesome. This is a loquat tree, actually 2 of them, which the birds have planted. I just cut out the middle. I pruned it back heavily, and I'm actually training it. I'm weighing down the branches to keep everything open and vase-like in the center. And, you know, I'm going a little bit redneck. I'm just using what I have. I had part of a swing set swing, so I'm like, okay, I'll use that. Frangipani, this is, I don't know, I always think of it as a Hawaiian flower. I have a bunch of them around. If I see one blooming, I'll let you see it, but it's beautiful. I love the smell. Love it. They come in pinks and yellows and whites, and I just planted this mango, so I'm watering it. Once it's established, it won't need much water. Another frangipani, some more cassava, tons of weeds. This is lumber for the tree house. And yeah, let's go back to the furthest realms of our yard here. This is, you know, the wild blue yonder. I don't go back here much, but this is Uncle Josh's realm. Everywhere you see, I don't know if you see those piles of dirt off in the distance, but those were places where we were planning on planting trees. They're like little piles of compost, actually. And I still do plan on planting them, but it's slow. I'll show you. So Brian like cleared all this out. It was so overgrown, I can't even tell you. This is where the dump truck dumped the mulch, which has been like gold. This stuff is awesome. I've been using it after I plant trees. But yeah, there's Uncle Josh's truck. These are the dying oaks that we inherited from the guy who somehow poisoned all the oaks back here. I don't know. But we're, you know, planting more trees as much as we can, and we're trying to baby the ones that are living, so, you know, all's well that ends well. So here's another loquat that the birds actually planted for me. And here's some random bananas. So yeah, every mound is where I plan to plant some of these trees. And I've already begun the process. I'll show you. But it's a slow-going process. These trees here, I cut back. They're actually nitrogen-fixing trees, so I want them to stay. But I don't want them to get too big. That's why you can see its head's been chopped off. So it's like, you can stay, but you have to stay short and let the sunlight in so that my fruit trees can grow. A tree will be planted here. This is a tree that I just planted. It's actually a lemon tree. And then back there, I'm going to plant another lemon tree. Lemon trees like to be under the canopy, so they're growing in the shade. But out here, and they get a little more sun, so I'm going to plant a mango here. So different trees like different things. But before I plant a tree, I have to clear the perimeter. So you can see around here is cleared. I just did that this morning, actually, of grapevine. And man, is that tough, because grapevine, I'll show you even in this burn barrel here. This is a burn barrel. I mean, this vine is nasty, and it's sprawling everywhere. So this is Uncle Josh's shed. Not our shed, his shed. And you can see it really has a redneck feel to it. And this is going to go when we get the dumpster, because we just have a lot of junk around here. and like random tires that just, everything's got to go. We've been doing a lot of brush clearing, a lot of cleaning out of these woods, and so we're going to have a burn party at some point. I mean, Brian cut down so many things. It's just awesome. This I've been working a lot on. You probably can't tell, but oh my goodness. This is a labor of love. Getting the grapevines out. They smother. Like, here's a grapevine growing up here. They just smother trees. They kill trees. We've just been like ripping it off of trees. It's just awful. At the base of every tree, I've been planting passion fruit. Here's one. Every oak tree I plant passion fruit at. Several passion fruit in this instance. These passion fruits just grow right up the tree. I'll show you a well-established vine, actually. Let me see if I can find it over here in these woods. Ah, here we go. This is a well-established passion fruit vine right here, this tough guy right here. Basically, at a certain time of the year, they just rain down passion fruit from the heavens. Like, it goes up so high, it goes right up the tree, and it sprawls out. You can't even see the vine when you look up into the canopy. You're like, I don't know where you are, but I trust that you're up there somewhere. And they just rain down, and they have a super thick, heavy skin, and so it's great. I mean, we just pick them up, and the squirrels have some, we have some. Okay, this trench is something that Uncle Josh dug by hand for me. It's similar to the banana pit. In the middle, we throw all of our wood. We have more wood to throw. This tree is an invasive tree, so we're letting it dry out completely before we put it in the pit, because we don't want to have it propagating in the pit and taking over. It is a nasty, nasty, invasive, horrible tree. So it's called pepper tree, and it's extremely destructive to all the woods around here. It just completely blocks out the natives. Oh my goodness, there's birdies everywhere. I love being out here. I see birds, I see butterflies. I feel more alive out here in my garden outside than I do anywhere. This is my mango tree, that huge tree right there. I cut it back quite severely. You have to be brutal with these trees. I mean, you have to, how do I say it, really be harsh and get them, you know, to mind, because they just want to grow like 40 feet tall, and you have to say, nope, you're not going to put your growth into leaves. You are going to fruit for me, and you're going to stay small. And so I really had to hack that thing back, and it's growing like crazy, but that's a good thing. This is my Charlie Brown tree, half alive. This is a Japodicata, and it makes these big, fat, purple grape-like things that grow right on the trunk. And I've been really trying to bring it back from the dead. When I got it, it was really in bad shape. So I keep watering it and loving it and fertilizing it, and we'll see.